the meeting go live. All right, so we live now. Hey, Grand Rising Collective family. I'm joined here on Facebook. And I'm on Facebook on my personal and on Grand Rising Collective. So I should have, now I'm starting to think I should have did YouTube. Anyway, you're here. My colleague usually does the intro. So Kyle, do you think you want to do an official intro with this? How you want to start it?
Yeah, well, I can do it. That's fine.
Go for it.
Keep the habit going. So, peace and blessings, family. This is Kyle Dixon here for another episode of the Grand Rising Collective podcast show platform. So again, as we
mute them. All right.
All new. Again, apologies for the difficulties, but for those who are.
All right, so listen. What's happening right now, y'all? We're having technical difficulties. My colleague Kyle is trying to. I know you can't see him, but if you go to Facebook Live, you go to Grand Rising Collective Facebook Live, you'll be able to see him there. You can't see him through this format. But y'all people who are on here, go to Facebook and type in Grand Rising Collective at Grand Rising Collective, and you'll be able to see him there. All right, so so we just have it. I just lost him. So hey, this is us. So what I'm going to try and do. All right, he's coming back now. So what I'm going to try is. All right, yeah.
We came back. Hey, man.
I ain't getting none of that. I didn't get none of that. Still freezing. All right, so we're gonna fly by the seat of our pants with this one, y'all. All right, this is another side. Those who know me, this is another side you seeing of me. I guess most of y'all know me. Most of y'all know I'm like not boring, but in business is totally different. I'm not this personality. So enjoy, have fun. This is most likely you'll be able to see me like this for about a good 45 minutes to an hour. So enjoy it. Cal and I, we trying to do this Grand Rising Collective ad hoc discussion that we do every Saturday. So Sean is watching. What's up, Sean? Good to see you, brother. I can't bring you on because I'm in the middle of doing the podcast already. So, all of y'all that are on here, check out Grand Rising Collective on Facebook. Now go to Facebook, type in Grand Rising Collective. You'll see our live now. You'll see who I'm talking with, and you can see it that way. If you have two devices, you can see us both. You can see me on one device, like you see me here, and then you can see both of us on another device. So do that. Kyle, you there, man? Kyle is frozen again. So what I'm thinking I'm gonna have to do is probably lead into the conversation, and then as Kyle gets his technology in place, then you'll hear him chime in. So kind of you're seeing me on both platforms. All right. So listen, if you're in this business, I'm just letting you know this is how it goes. All right. So what Kyle and I, if you check Grand Rising Collective on YouTube as well. So check out Grand Rising Collective on YouTube and you see what we have planned. Now, I talk about Grand Rising Collective a lot. Some of you don't know what it is. Some of you do know. So Grand Rising Collective is a collective that I put together with a colleague of mine. See, this is the business side coming in. A colleague of mine where we're trying to inform the community on what's going on. Let me add him to the stream. You better now? You good? You better? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good, man. My signal, excuse us, man. My signal's acting up.
So
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
All right. So see, this is probably why. Doing the scheduled 2:00 joint didn't work out because we probably would have had technical difficulties like this. Probably would have been bad. So anyway, what I'm sharing with the viewers, bro, is and add comments, y'all, if you have any questions based on the topics we're talking about, or just in general, just add comments. So how are we going to get into this, Kyle? Even though your screen is frozen again, we're going to lead into some serious conversations as it relates to as it relates to relationships, as it relates to education during COVID. And I got all this stuff going on, y'all. Sorry about this. Education during COVID and healthcare. So what I led into earlier was, you have no idea all the messages that I'm getting right now. It's crazy. And the technical difficulties that I'm dealing with. So those of you who have stayed on all this time and hearing me struggle to try and make sure I keep everybody up to date with what's going on, thank you so much. Be patient. We will get there. I will get us there. So that's weird. So in the intro, with regard to Grand Rising Collective that I'm involved in, is a platform that we're using to disseminate information to the neighborhoods, not community. So if you saw that video, you would know that I explained the difference between a community and neighborhood. And we as people of color, POC, African Americans, Hispanics, things of that nature, we technically live in neighborhoods. We don't live in communities. And that word community is thrown around haphazardly like it's nothing, but it's a distinction that needs to be made clear and specific. All right. So the difference for those of you who don't know between a neighborhood and a community, a neighborhood is a general vicinity where a group of people of the same or similar ethnicity live. And that's basically it. You live in the same block radius, the same, that's basically it. You have no ownership or no investment in that neighborhood. Kyle, be patient. I'm starting an intro with those who are here, and then I'm gonna tie it over to you to do the introduction of Grand Rising Collective. But
okay,
if you break again, we're just gonna have to flow without that introduction or try and figure out how to do this. Aside from that, you got it? You hear me?
Okay. Right. Yeah, I'm fine. Am I lagging? On my end, it seems like you're stuck.
Okay. All right. So, so just hang in there. All right. So let me finish this introduction between the distinction or difference between a neighborhood and a community. All right. So the difference between, what's up, Tay? How you doing, brother? I see you. I see you. I see you doing your thing on Facebook. I'm proud of you. All right. Stay focused though. So the difference between the neighborhood and the community is what I just led into. Hold on, Kyle. Hold on. Is a neighborhood is a vicinity where people of the same ethnicity or background or similar background live, as opposed to a community where the people who are in that vicinity have a stake and ownership in the businesses that are in that community, the schools that are in that community, the legal representation in that community, as well as politics in that community. And that's what we as a whole, people of color, African Americans, really don't have. So Grand Rising Collective is an effort in trying to disseminate information to empower us in order to economically establish that. And then just general conversation that's going on in society today in hopes of motivating us, inspiring us to get through the challenges that we face. So that's the Grand Rising Collective, and I went in depth on that in the video that you see on the channel. So go to Grand Rising Collective on YouTube and get that information and all that. Now, I know when I get serious in business, a lot of y'all don't like that, Joy. It's like crazy boring, but it's real talk. And if you listen to it and you give it a chance, you notice how it benefits you in the long run. So, that's it for that. Now, just dive into this. Kyle, do the introduction of Grand Rising Collective and just get into this conversation. So Kyle is frozen. Kyle, do the introduction of Grand Rising Collective because you froze, man.
Say what now?
Do the introduction of Grand Rising Collective, please, because you froze already.
So you want me to do the intro? Cool.
Yeah, just dive in, and then right after we'll get into the conversation.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so peace, family. So in reference of what we do here at the Grand Rising Collective podcast, we are here to enhance, engage, entertain, and empower you all at the same time. And with our platform, we've allowed room and space for my Google's trying to go off. We've allowed space for you all people in the community to be able to get information from trusted individuals who are professionals in their industry or their skill set. And again, my name is Kyle Dixon. I'm an educator for 20 years, entrepreneur for 15 years. And we chose the term Grand Rising because of it's a term of endearment, like good morning. And it's a constant reminder for us to always be at our best, always be excellent, to strive for excellence by being grand and rising to the occasion against all obstacles and challenges that may come our way. So that is in a nutshell what we're about and what we hope to put into the society, again, some positive force, some type of purposeful meaning behind these conversations. So without further ado, pass it over to my partner in comprehension, not partner in crime, partner in cinema podcast, Kayode Bentley.
Thank you very much, brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate it. As Kyle already said, in regards to Grand Rising Collective, this is our typical introduction. And I always feel it's informative or beneficial for you to know who's speaking to you as well as who you're listening to. So my name is Kayode Bentley. I'm president and founder of the organization called 14 Teaching Teams to Think, whereas the mission of the organization is to help inner city youth identify their inherent skill set so they can use that inherent skill set to excel in their education, leading to getting a job, establishing a career, and ultimately starting a business if they choose to. That's one hat that I wear. And my target demographic with that organization are inner city youth between the ages of 16 to 24 years old. Now, the reason why I joined Grand Rising Collective and I'm part of Grand Rising Collective is Grand Rising Collective provides me with a platform in which to disseminate my information and those in my network's information to a larger audience, typically or preferably the inner city. Whereas we leverage the information to, I guess, embolden and uplift the community, as I mentioned before, the difference between neighborhood and community. And this community consists of parents, mothers, fathers, organizational leaders, things of that liking, so that way we can all be on the same page in regards to information that we have. One added item that I haven't mentioned before is that there's a whole host of information that exists out here today. All right, a lot of information out here, but some of it is misinformation. And you'd be surprised at how many people do not know really what's going on. And it's all because of the lack of communication between us as a group. So Grand Rising Collective helped me to alleviate that or address that lack that we have as a collective. Not only am I president of 14 Productions, I'm also a professor at Fordham University, whereas I'm able to instruct, teach, and inform students who are pursuing their master's degrees in social justice and social services. And I also sit on the advisory board of LIU, Long Island University, whereas I do the same. I have the same impact. It's the same mission. So without any further ado, we're going to dive into the conversation. This isn't going to be a typical Grand Rising Collective discussion, whereas we have a guest on. This is going to be between us as hosts. We do this periodically throughout the year, by the way, as a way of you getting to know us individually, and it gives us an opportunity to share with you the updates, things of that nature. So, Kyle, if you would do me the honors and please share, give your take on the annual update as it relates to special guest appreciation, lack of consistency with promotion, encouragement during the pandemic, and also the upcoming podcast, what we have in store for those who support us, the viewers, in this next year that I have in the private chat. So can you touch on that? You want me to lead and then you follow?
Yeah, I can touch on it. So I know Kayode talked to you all in reference of what we plan on doing with the platform, GRC, Grand Rising Collective. And we do have some special guests that are definitely coming up. We have some guests, as we've had before, professionals, very much knowledgeable of their industries and their skills. And these are people that we feel like will add value to not only our platform, but those who listen, our listeners, you all. And just as much you all learn from them, we learn from them as well. So when we bring them on there, it's all about us encompassing the knowledge and the expertise and experience that they have, and then being able to use that in our daily lives to help and give us better choices, to enhance whatever choices we already have or lifestyle we already have. And just to be more informed, just to be very much more informed, because the more informed you are, the more you can make decisions that can better your life and other people around you. So we will have some people coming up definitely on the next episode. We already have some people lined up that are waiting to talk and have a conversation with us. And in reference of the promotion, as far as the platform is concerned, we're trying to get 1,000 subscribers by September of this year. So I know with COVID going on, it's a lot that people are taking in at one time. This is just a lot of activity. Mostly seems like it's mostly negative, that is happening all around the world, but also realize that despite all the things that are going on, that you all are still here. And if you're here, that means you can do something about it. That means you have the ability and the time to make your space humble and peaceful and secure. So always remember that even though there's all this stuff going on around us, and you may have had some tragedies in your family, know that at this place right now that you can choose to have a secure, a protected, and a safe space.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for that, Cal. So we also have upcoming on the podcast discussions on relationships with special guest Rochelle Lindsay, and we're going to talk about the dynamic of relationships nowadays as it consists of co-parenting. So look out for that. That's going to be very interesting. We're going to have some very interesting personalities on there. It's going to be pretty funny. So be ready for that. And then we have collaborations with upcoming community organizations. So look out for that. These are the upcoming. This is what you can look forward to on upcoming Grand Rising Collective podcast. All right. So without any further ado, we're 15 minutes into this hard. I want to talk about, Kyle, relationships, man. I want to talk about. I don't know what I want to start with first. So, repair relationships that has no. What up, Jay? That has no trust, right? So I read this article, right? So I'm gonna do my best not to read the whole article. And for those of you who are watching, if you want the article, let me know. Hit me up, and I will send you the link to the article. But basically, Cal, some of the things that I don't know how to get full context in, but I want to hear your take on it. All right, so
okay,
how do you repair a relationship that no longer has trust? Is the subject of the article, right? And it basically goes into saying trust is important in relationships because you have to trust the person to not hurt you. The best relationships are those that each partner can be vulnerable with one another. True love gives your mate the ability to hurt you, but trusting that they won't. However, without trust, you open yourself up to hurt. Trust is one of the bases of any sound relationship, and without it, you're opening yourself to suspicion based on your lack of trust in your mate. Now, there's a lot more to this article that I didn't read, but that's a general of it. So I guess basically what we're saying is, or let me put it this way and pose it to you, Kyle. Your thoughts on it is why are so many people afraid to trust in relationships?
Damn. Maybe because they don't trust themselves. I mean, how I'm thinking about it is maybe some people don't really trust themselves and their abilities or their actions. And therefore it's hard for them to trust other people. Like they're hard on themselves about trusting themselves of doing certain things. So therefore they express that or put that on their supposed partner. Yeah, I mean, like it is a foundation of a relationship. I mean, like I said, a relationship that doesn't have trust, love, and respect. I mean, is that truly a relationship? I mean, like that may be just what they call situationship. Like what is that? I mean, there's no really strong foundation here without that. But I would maybe again what I just said a few seconds ago is that maybe they don't trust themselves, therefore it's hard for them to trust other people. But let's say, let's play the advocate, the devil's advocate. Let's say they have trust other people and they let them down. Well, I'd have to know like in what ways, because they may have had a certain expectation or unreal expectation for that particular partner, and they expected or assumed that partner was going to do that and they didn't. Or maybe they did have it and the partner let them down. It could have been maybe they cheated on them, or maybe they did something behind their back that was shady. And then they have to make a decision, like, is this part of this person's character, or is this something that they just slipped up and did? Now, again, maybe one time, they may be able to say, okay, even though the person could be upset that it was acted upon or acted against, they may be upset. But let's say they gave them the benefit of the doubt, but let's say it kept happening. Then you have to make a decision. Is it worth it to trust this person? Can I trust this person in certain scenarios to come through and be responsible? And if that's not the case, then something's going to have to change. Either you're going to have to leave that relationship, or something's going to have to give where somebody changes their behavior or attempts to work at changing their behavior for the sake of the relationship, from my opinion. But if not, then is it truly worth having?
Well said, brother. Well said. I like the way you came through with that angle. I came from the angle of, and if y'all check out the video that I did, well, you can't see it because I didn't post it up yet. but the video that I did, Kyle, I spoke about the subtle beginnings of relationships. So here's the point, and this gets deep. This gets deep.
Okay.
What is our relation or connection to relationships, right? So think about it like this. When we hit our puberty stage in our teenage years, we start to realize what a girl is and what a boy is. That's when relationships start. Not when we're in high school, not when we're in college, but when we're in teenagers.
Right.
It's when we start seeing, I'm not a little kid no more. Oh, this girl she got for a guy. Oh, this girl got curves. Never noticed that before, right? And this is at the same time when the girl starts developing and she starts coming into her own, right? And then the girl starts to see the guy. Oh, I remember him when we were younger. He was ugly. Now look at him. He looks he looks kind of, he did, so, you understand what I'm saying? So then that's when I like you, the love taps start coming. I mean, you get the love taps from you in kindergarten too, whatever. I'm talking about when you hit that puberty stage, it's really when things start jumping off. Because it's at a point where you're entering into your teenage years and your parents are going to give you more flexibility. When you were young, you were in kindergarten and stuff like that, you was under your parents' rule, your parents' eye, you couldn't be with nobody, you know what I'm saying? There ain't no date. You'll do what they call them, parent dates and stuff, whatever they call that joint, right? But your parents are still right there, right?
Oh yeah.
Parent dates, whatever. There ain't no one-to-one, none of that.
Right.
Right. So it kind of hinders the exploratory nature of somebody. So now when the young person hits their puberty stage or their puberty age, right, they don't have that parental supervision anymore. Now you really start to embark on what a relationship is, right? Now you really start to understand and be exposed to more of what a relationship is. And this is why I say in the beginning, with a woman or with a guy, when they get into that relationship at that age, they're kissing each other, they're hugging each other, Lord knows what else. I'm going to leave it at that. But they have no concept, Kyle, of what if this doesn't work? Right? How is this going to end? I mean, initially it's like, because they're new to it, right? This is a new experience, so they're new to it. So it's like, oh, this is going to be my boyfriend. We're going to live happily ever after. Blah, 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 blah. Or my girlfriend, we're going to live happily ever after. But what really is thought about before they enter that relationship, and it happens at that age where they end up in the relationship and the guy or the girl that they like cheated on with somebody else. And this is before they even 18.
Okay.
This is before they 15. This guy, she finds out that he's talking to somebody else, right? And vice versa. And now she feels hurt. So those are the seeds of mistrust that are planted in there at that age.
Right.
And it's consistent too. It's not just a one happenstance and then they meet the next person who's happily ever after. No, women experience that. So do men experience that from the minute they start dating, the inconsistencies of relationships and being cheated on.
Mm-hmm.
So now when we talk about this topic right here, the subject repair relationship that has no trust, we have already been conditioned by the time we're 20, 21 years old that there is no long-term relationship. Sooner or later, this person is going to cheat on you. Very rarely do you have those we met at love at first sight, where you meet in high school or meet in college, get married, and live happily ever after, and you're in your 60s and 70s, and you're still together, and you're met in high school. Come on, I'm keeping it real right now. I'm keeping it real, right? So imagine all the failed relationships up to that point when you were in your 20s, late 20s and early 30s. So you're automatically getting into a relationship where there is no trust. You're automatically getting in that relationship when the first missed call you get, or the first time you try to reach out to your mate or your partner, and that call is missed, the antennas go up to an extent. I wonder if this is going to be like the last relationship that I had 2-3 years ago, when the person missed my call, I tried to reach him or her and didn't get him. Mm-hmm. Right? So I'm saying all that to say, in regards to trust is important in relationships, because trust, you can't trust the person not to hurt you. You're already bringing that baggage into your next relationship. And I will propose this. I think that's why a lot of relationships have failed. Because at some point along the line in the relationship, someone's not being faithful. Mm-hmm. Right? And
right.
All right, so I'm sorry, disconnect things are difficult to do. As I was saying before, this is in a video that I did already. We're going to see the reality is pretty much all of us got into relationships and thought that it was going to last forever. I mean, you hope it does, but very rarely does it. And why? So, but yeah, now that's my first part to where the trust come in. I don't think people get into relationships fully trusting the other person. All that baggage that I just shared before. Now, initially, yeah, it's new. It could be different, but I venture to say 2 months in, 3 months in, you know what I mean? There's some inconsistencies that show up, and it just falls apart. One other thing, and then I want to give it back over to you. I want to get your point.
So, for what part? Just what in general? Because you said a lot. So
I know I did. Just go. I'll bring the last. Just that and this. I'll say people in the beginning jump into relationships, think it's going to be great, and then 2 or 3 months into it, they start to see some warning signs and stuff like that, and that's what plants the seed of infidelity. I say most relationships break up because of cheating.
Okay, so so that little part, that last part, sorry family about the technical difficulties, that last part I couldn't hear that much, but from what I got from it, seemed like you're saying what people enter, it's like what they call a honeymoon phase or whatever, and everybody's all tiptoeing through the tulips, flying high on fancy free on the love train, you know what I'm saying? So again, man, I think expectations need to be set at the beginning, man. I think we get caught up into this movie, fantasy, fairy tale narrative of what love is and relationships are, and those things exist, but that is not everybody's situation. I think we let Hollywood and TVs dictate to us how relationships should go, and some of them don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're just trying to get ratings and trying to make their characters and their stories more appealing. But the whole fairy tale things, who's fairy tale? Are we talking about Cinderella? We talking about who else? Cinderella, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Like, those aren't people of color stories. Those are like Germanic, I think. No, European. Let me just say it for real. Those are European stories. But whose narrative is that? Like, there's many different ways people fall in love. People fall in love, you know, they met on a train, a bus, they were at a party, they were when they were young, when they were children, they're from the same neighborhood, they went to the same school, they met in high school sweethearts, they met in college sweethearts, they met on a job, they met on vacation, they met through a best friend, a girlfriend, they were at the store. Like, there's many different scenarios that people have met each other and quote unquote fallen in love. But I think that folks need to really evaluate their situation on a case-by-case basis, and also check what they're looking for in a partner, and also hold that partner accountable, hold themselves accountable first, but also hold that a partner accountable to say, well, these are the things I'm looking for, and what are the signs that they are not living up to this type of value or standard that I'm looking for. And from there, you can begin to assess. And again, I'm coming at this very technical, so excuse me if I sound technical and cold, because that's not the case. But I'm just saying that you know what it's like. You know what it's like when you're really into somebody and they're not into you, right? And you also know when somebody's into you, but you're really not into them. And there's reasons why. It could be attraction level. It could be a physical attraction level. It could be the physical attraction could be there, but like mentally, they're just not on the same things that you're on. Maybe you're on going hiking and outdooring and seeing the world, and they're like, I just want to go clubbing and kick it, around the city. Like they just on a different wavelength. But that doesn't mean to say that y'all not compatible with each other, because y'all could have the same type of values that you all link up with. It could be very strong values, but the way you all go about life is different, and that might be good for you all. You all might y'all might encourage each other actually. But again, it depends on what you want, and again, that depends on if you know yourself, if you know what you want and what you need. Because you may want a model, you might want a Ford model woman or man, but when it comes down to the get down, the person that you really want is somebody who's attractive to you, still attracted to you, but yet they hold certain values that you hold dearly for your lifestyle and how you want to engage with the world. And that is who you are more in tune with than the typical IG model, man or woman, or the hot athlete or the hot actor, actress, you know what I'm saying? And again, no diss to them, because they have their attractions too, and they've gotten hurt too, and they've gotten dissed and cheated on, some of them. But I think the goal is to really be comfortable with self and be vulnerable enough, be at a point where you're vulnerable enough to put yourself out there to say, if I'm really feeling this person, then so be it. If they're not feeling me, then so be it. It's like, you gotta not pay to play, but you gotta get in the game. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get it. And it's not even to say a game, you just gotta get in it. Ain't no half stepping. Ain't no half stepping.
My brother Kavon, I'm mentioning your name, man. I know you ain't. Come on now. I know it's not a problem, right? So Kavon, Kavon, Kavon Osby.
Who is that? I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
Kyle, Kyle is messing with you, man. He's messing with you.
Fellow brother Sag in the house.
There you go. So Kyle says this. He says, also, there are studies that have shown that children of divorced parents or from abusive households, etc., are most likely to have commitment and trust issues in relationships. So for many, even before that puberty stage, the concept of relationship is already skewed. He also says, I think the most effective solution, thank you, Kavon, this is powerful stuff, man. He says he thinks the most effective solution, especially in our community, the Black community, is therapy and counseling. Normalize therapy and ways to properly address mistrust. And that's what Kyle says. Kyle, thank you so much. And Kavon responds, Sag Nation, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So Kavon brought up those valid points right there, man. What do you have to say to that, Kavon?
Yeah, those are very valid. I mean, those are the first examples of what you deem a relationship to be, or the template of what you think, at least believe and think, that a relationship is.
We got technical difficulties. We got technical difficulties again. Kavon, thank you so much, man. That was a very powerful statement that you made. And you're absolutely right. Defective households, it's crazy. Therapy is definitely something that should be promoted more, as well as counseling to help us unpack these issues that we go through. Right on. And welcome back, Kyle. So I was confirming what Kyle said in regards to the importance of therapy and counseling to help unpack the issues that we typically go through. So continue. What were you saying? Okay, so Kyle is
So I was just saying, it's your caretaker. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
So I was just going into. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, go.
Yep, good to go. All right, so those are first examples of relationship. And right, counseling and therapy are key. There's a lot of transgressions. There's a lot of things that we may carry with us, not even that our own experience, but from experiences of our parents or people that are near and dear to us that have gone through certain things in relationships with other people. And we use that as a template to say, oh, this is how it should or should not go. And sometimes those things do not work for our benefit. And we carry along those beliefs. We believe it, so we act on it. We act on our beliefs. What we believe is what we act on. So whenever somebody keeps doing something over and over, you have to go back into what is your belief that you're telling yourself that this thing is real. So some people may say, oh, well, if my partner cheats on me, as long as he doesn't bring it home, it's cool. Well, I mean, that may work for some people. Some people may have the personality to be able to deal with that. But for you, you may like, no, I can't. That's a no-no for me. That's a deal breaker. Some people say for me, if I know he's cheating, then it's a wrap. It's like I may let it go the first time because, it's just maybe we didn't talk about it, or maybe I'm willing to forgive him because she or he is loved so much from the other person that they're willing to forgive it the first time. But if it's a recurring thing, then they have to again go back and make a decision for themselves. Can they live with this if this person never changes? But counseling and therapy helps to unpack a lot of that stuff. Again, it helps you to be more of who you would like to be, and also it allows you to dig up certain things that you didn't even know you were carrying. Like you could be carrying on to like hate or anger or sadness or a misinterpretation of something that happened in your youth or even recently. And good therapy, not just, because not all therapists are made the same, but good therapy and good counseling could help thoroughly unpack that and help able you to deal with those situations. So that way they don't keep reoccurring and you can put it on Front Street right in front of you and be like, oh, this is why so-and-so, she or he was doing these particular things. And here's why I was reacting the way I was reacting. Because sometimes it's not just your partner doing something that triggers you, but it's why you're being triggered.
Very good.
So good therapy and counseling helps to that.
Awesome. Kavon, again, thank you for that input. My counter to that, because I completely agree with everything you said. So, and listen, let me make this clear for those of you who are viewing Grand Rising Collective. The reason why I found this topic very important is because that's a fundamental element of our lives. I don't think there's anyone watching or anyone we've known over the years that has not either been in a relationship or currently pursuing a relationship. We don't realize how much of an impact that other person's lives have on us. Serious. It's not a separate thing. It's not like you play football. A lot of people don't play football. It's not a part of their life. Sometimes it's not a part of their life forever. Football, sports, you can do without makeup. You can do without a lot of these things. But one fundamental universal element that we all have in common in humanity is relationships. And what we don't realize is how beneficial or detrimental a relationship can be towards us trying to achieve our goals, our aspirations, and ultimately making the world a better place. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this topic, relationships. And we're not going to stay on it. We're not going to exhaust it that much. But I think this is fundamental because for me personally, I've been in relationships and these relationships have been, to a large extent, very detrimental to my effectiveness in accomplishing my goals, and on a personal note, my growth, because I've taken so much time out of my personal time to invest in this person, right? Ultimately, to have that person, and ultimately to have the relationship not work out. So that's time I can't get back. That's time that I lost, right? That's money that I lost. That's energy that I lost. All these things. So I think it's very important that we as a community try and figure out how we can build, because my colleague and brother, confidant here, Kyle, made a very excellent point. And that point was something on the lines, Kyle, is something about the act. One of the acts of being rebellious is by the family or something. That's the first act. That's like a major act of being rebellious. The family. When a man and a woman come together, and particularly in the community of African American community, when we're able to come together and build a family, that's the start of empowerment. Right? Was it something along those lines? The importance of a family, right? And if you notice, we out here dating, right? Single, doing our own thing, hurting each other, not even realizing it, and it's weakening the fabric of our community. No one man can do it by himself. No one woman.
And Kyle, I want to interject.
Please.
I want to interject real quick. And there's a sister who mentioned this to me, that I follow as well, Sister Malika Ali, and she talks about like there's dating and there's courting, and a lot of people, like you said, a lot of us are dating, but not courting our potential partner. And people are like, well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is that dating is just kind of messing around, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no really commitment or really intentional commitment for the long haul. It could end up that way, but it's really just for like a short-term period. Courting is like, oh, I've met someone and I see potential in them to be with them for a long time, or maybe be a wife or a husband, or whatever arrangement people have nowadays, because it gets a little confusing. But courting is typically towards marriage. Like, I see the person as a potential partner to spend my life with, and I'm going to court that person. And yes, family, courting still goes down, right? You hear some women say, "Oh, men don't court anymore. Man, chivalry is dead." Some women help to do that, help to kill chivalry, but it's really just about respecting the other person. I mean, whatever that is. I mean, that may be slightly different for most folks, but we know what that is. If you're an adult and you're mature enough, you have some common sense, hopefully, you know what that means. But yeah, there's two different types, dating and courting. And most of us out here are dating, and not focused on courting. Because if you were courting, it's a whole nother criteria that you're looking at. It's not just like, oh, I'm just trying to get in bed with them and, have fun. And then after that, I don't know. No, courting is like, no, like, I'm really looking at this person's habits, their lifestyle, their mindset, their actions. Like, their words. I'm looking at everything.
I'm glad you said that. I want to drop something real quick. In my discussion that I had today, and then we'll move on to the next topic. I go even deeper than that in regards to courting and dating. I give 4 levels or 4 phases. And I'm gonna tie it in. I'm gonna try and tie everything in one, and then we'll revisit it in a part 2 of the discussion at a later date. But after your feedback, of course. So here's the thing. I'm trying to figure out how, and I'm gonna give solutions. So I classify. You should put relationships in 4 phases. Okay. Phase number 1 is connecting. Connecting is phase number 1, and then connecting is
texting.
Connecting. 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 Right. So connecting is having associates, having a quote unquote rotation. Whereas as a guy, you can see multiple women. I'm not talking about sleeping. It's not Just keep it PG. But I'm saying you can talk to multiple people in connecting with them and just getting to talk to them, like just a friend, building up friendship, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the foundation of relationships anyway. The best relationship is your best friend. That's what I think. So if you're starting out as friends with no anticipation, no expectation, you can, which is a fundamental part of the beginning, you should be able to express yourself and share everything about you, the good and the bad, the highs and the lows. You should be able to talk to your opposite girlfriend about the girls you dated, about the woman you cheated on. Men too, because that's your friend. You didn't commit to anything. You're just chopping it up. This is the person you hang out with who just so happens to be of the opposite sex. And from a male perspective, doing that with multiple people, like for a man having, just say 5 girls that you're getting to know, you're connecting with, you're talking with, you're just chopping it up, you're letting them know everything about you because you have nothing to lose. You're not going to ruin any potential anything. You're going into it as a friend. You're just somebody I chop it up with. Chum, right? That should be the connecting phase. That way you have nothing to lose. There's no expectations from either party. She knows that you're not exclusive, right? She knows that you're just hanging out. She knows that she's just your friend. You know that she's just your friend. You're both just friends hanging out, right? This is a concept that I'm saying that you need to think about. So now, and this phase of connecting should be for about 1.5 to 2 years. Real talk. Yeah, 12 months where there's no expectations and you can share with her everything. You can share with her, and you can share with him the date that you've been on and how it was whack or you know what I'm saying? And this is because we're talking about connecting, right? So, and it's more deeper than that, but the purpose is you should be able to share with her anything without any hesitation or feeling like you're going to lose anything. That should take place for about a year, because that way you really get to know each other. Now, after you've done this from a man's perspective, after you've met and connected with these women, 5 of them, in the span of a year with no expectations, right? After the year, you now have been able to ascertain who you want to be exclusive with. Now comes the dating phase. Now is the dating phase. Okay, I met this person for a full year. I told her everything about me. I feel comfortable. We still laugh. We still kick it. She accepts me for who I am. I like her for who she is. I accept her for who she is. She's really, you know what? I think out of all the 5 that I've been talking with and getting to know over this year, I think this one is the one that I really want to move to the next level. Right? Because now you've established that foundation of trust. There's nothing you have to hide. There's nothing you holding back. You're not presenting your representative. You're not, putting on a false narrative. You're pursuing. You want to pursue. You're not putting yourself under pressure. Now you've been moved to the dating stage. Now, in this dating stage should take less time because now it's just a matter of transition. You've gotten to know this person. They date all. They've done this. Their highs and their lows. Now it's just a matter of seeing if you can work together exclusively. Right. Once you figure that out, it take no more than 3 months. You're in the dating phase, just an exclusive dating phase now, right? Just ready to trust each other in this phase or what have you. Now comes the courtship. Because keep in mind, when you were dating, when you were connecting, the first year you took to connect, this is where you're talking about how many children you might want if you're getting married. Right. This is where you're talking about what your credit score is. Right. What's your credit score?
If you're asking the right questions. Again, but some people, again, I've been in that scenario myself. I mean, you don't ask those questions because you don't know to ask those questions. And then 6 months, a year into it, then you try to ask those questions, and it's like it's not the answer you wanted or you wanted to hear. And you're like, oh man, did I waste time? That I should have been using to ask those potential questions. Because it's interesting. It's just interesting how we as just people interact with each other, especially the opposite sex and opposite gender, and just again, like when we're caught up in the infatuation process. We don't want to mess up the flow. We're like, let's just let it flow. Let the infatuation and love flow, you know. And we miss asking some of those key questions. And then when we ask them again, we may not get the answer that we are looking to hear. And then it changes the dynamic of the relationship for sometimes the end of the relationship or the ending of the relationship.
I heard that point. Kayode says, "Oh, this is all debatable. That connecting and dating stage gets blurred and blended real quick." so Kayode, good point. So,
he said, "What now?"
He said, "Oh, this is all debatable. That connecting and dating stage get blurred and blended real quick." All right.
Right? You know, because sometimes it may take 3 months, it may take 6, depending on who you talking about. Could take 3, could take a month, could take a year. Like that's why it depends on the people involved. So, if they've unpacked their traumas and they're very aware of themselves.
But let me finish the thought though. All right, here's the thought. This is in concept, right? This is in concept. Kayode, your point is very right. Debatable, blending and dating gets blurred real quick. And we're talking about counseling and therapy, right? Because a lot of the stuff we're dealing with internally that we don't even know that we bring into the relationship, and that doesn't help the relationship. All right. So here's the point. This is where discipline comes in. So during the dating phase, that year is where you're supposed to have those hard talks, right? Kayode says, "I would love to hear from some women on this." Okay, we're gonna have some. Stay tuned, spice it up. We're the women. Spice it up. We're gonna have someone coming in. We're working on a series. And matter of fact, right now we're talking about relationships and co-parenting, and we will talk about this, Kayode. So stay tuned. We definitely have some women's perspectives on this. Right now, we're just trying to get you warmed up. We're just trying to warm you up right now. We're just getting ready. But I'm gonna try and speed this up. This is the concept, right? In the perfect world. So in the first year, when you're getting to know the person, this is where you have those hard conversations. This is where those hard conversations come out. Yeah. This is the year that you're investing in where you're not in a relationship. So there's no reason, thank you, Kayode. So there's no reason to feel like you lost a year of your life because you're not in a committed relationship. Right. Right? You're in the first year of just getting to know each other. You're in the first year of just connecting, right? She's just your friend. He's just your friend. They don't have to talk to each other every day. Right. There's no commitment to talk to each other. There's no obligation in place. This is just your friend, like a classmate. You follow what I'm saying? This should give you the flexibility to be able to be honest and not fear that you're losing anything or that you're losing out on the potential because you're going in with managed expectations. You're going into this connecting phase just as friends. So even after a year, if that friend doesn't want to talk to you anymore, you didn't lose anything because you meet friends every day. Right? Mm-hmm. We meet people every day. Right? So if you're going into this so-called connecting phase with no expectations, where it's just buddy, chum, you can share anything you want because you're not going to have to worry about, oh, I'm doing something bad because I'm cheating on her or I'm cheating on her. It's just my friend. I'm just talking with the person. We're just getting to know each other. That's where those hard conversations take place. And it gives you time to do that. It gives you at least a year to have those hard conversations. And let's say 6 months in, right? 6 months in, thank you, Kayode. 6 months in this connecting phase, you reveal something about yourself that you were, insecure about, or you didn't want to share, what have you. You're still in the friendship phase, you're still in the connecting phase, and that person doesn't want to talk to you anymore. You didn't lose anything. You weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. You wasn't dating, you were just friends. It wasn't exclusive. So while this person is not your friend in the connecting, you got 4 other friends that you've been talking to anyway, getting to connect, getting to know. So you didn't lose anything. You didn't hurt anybody. You didn't let anybody down because this wasn't a date. It wasn't a relationship. Yeah. It was just connecting as friends. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's another big piece that we leave out, that we forget. And like Kayode said, it gets blended real quick between connecting and dating. That's why you have to be clear from the outset, and you can be that when you establish the relationship from the start as far as connecting. Listen, I'm just getting to know you. We just friends. This isn't boyfriend, girlfriend, none of that. I just want to get to know you. Just connect and just see. You know what I'm saying? As we get to know each other, what it may lead to, but making sure that that's clearly distinguished, that this is just connecting. I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to this person and that person and this person and this person too. No commitment. This is not dating. You hear what I'm saying? Making it clear. So that way she knows and he knows what they're involved in. Okay. That way there's no misinterpretation or confusion. You follow? So I think that's a clear distinction in regards to the connecting phase. Now, after a year, you've had that hard talk already. After a year, you talked about how many children that you wanted. After a year, you talked about your credit score and how much money you make. And all those hard talks that if you was in a date, you wouldn't feel comfortable in sharing because you're afraid of what you may be losing out on the potential. You had that stigma put on you because you're in that quote unquote title date. But as a friend and connecting, that's not the case. No expectation. Just like you talking to 5 other people, you give her or him the freedom to talk to 5 other people as well. There's no miscommunication there. There's no misinterpretation. Yeah, we're starting off fair and balanced right from the gate, right? So now after that year, and you met these 5 people, and this one person accepted you for who you were, because you was able to share with that person your likes, your dislikes, your ups, your downs, your vulnerabilities, your insecurities, and all that stuff within a year, and she's still vibing with you, or he's still vibing with you, right? After all that, and vice versa, she's still vibing with you, he's still vibing with you. After that full year and y'all had that talk, now you can look at the dating phase. Now you can start looking at the dating phase. And now the dating phase consists of, okay, how can we make this transition? I know everything about him. I know everything about her. Can we make this work together exclusively, monogamally?
Yeah.
That's the adjustment phase now in the dating. That's what takes place. And is at that point you decide, I like you better as a friend. I don't think we can make it as dating, what have you. But at least you've covered, you've established a friend from that type of relationship, right? You've established somebody who can at least kick it with you as a friend. It might not work out in dating, but as a friend, at least I made a friend who I can be myself with, I can be open with, I can be vulnerable with. Not having jumped into a relationship at the start with these unmanaged expectations, and it ends up you hurting the person because you cheated, because you really didn't know about yourself, or you was afraid to tell the truth, and all that confusion was in there. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so I'm gonna speed this up.
Communication.
Communicate, right? I'm gonna speed this up, y'all. I'm sorry, Kavon. I'm gonna speed all this up. So now you're in the dating phase. Just in the perfect world, you're in the dating phase. You feel like you can make that transition. You feel like, okay, it's good. We can do this thing. This is great, or what have you. So now that you've figured out you're made for each other, you're a good fit. You can work monogamically, right? He doesn't feel tempted to see somebody else because you're the person that he's been able. And a lot of times when you cheat is because you feel like you're missing something in the relationship, and you're looking for somebody else to fulfill it, or it could be insecurity and things of that nature. But hopefully, as you've gotten to know each other, a lot of those things are fulfilled, right? So, perfect world, dating stage, your work, you're a good fit, or what have you. Next stage comes courting. And courting, you don't have to worry about those topics, right? Because you already talked about how many children you want. You already talked about your credit score. You already talked about all those things that were deep, dark, secrets about yourself. You covered that in the connecting phase where you had nothing to lose. So now the courting phase is just one of where you now scheduling the venue, where you're going to get married, where the reception is going to be, where the honeymoon is going to be. You know what I mean? What house you're going to live in. That's what takes place during the courting stage. That's all that takes place during the courting stage. So it's the connecting stage, which is a year. You know each other, have that hard talk. The dating stage is whether you work well monogamically wise. You already know each other, but how do we work well together? That shouldn't take no more than 3 months, if that. I don't have a specific timeline, but you know, within that frame, you can tell exactly whether you're a good fit or not. That's the dating stage. And the courting stage should take no more than a year because you have to reserve the reception area, you know, the wedding, the church. You know how long it takes to get married, wedding planners, and all that stuff. So whatever that time frame in planning a wedding is how long that courtship will take. Because you've already did the hard work.
Yeah, and let me. I'm sorry, brother. I just want to interject real quick, especially you said wedding, man. I was talking with a friend of mine recently, and it was just interesting how people plan more for their wedding than they do the actual relationship. They put more planning and more time and more attention to detail in their wedding and honeymoon than they do their actual relationship, which is so backwards to me. Like, that makes no sense. Like, you're putting more time into the ceremony for you all to be together than you all actually being together.
There you go.
And that's just so backwards. Like, again, people putting more attention and detail into things that truly don't matter than a life partner, someone you're gonna spend the rest of your life with, and you're gonna go through changes and all these different things, and that's going to help you and hopefully make you more open to just companionship and cooperation and love and all these great things, right? But seem like we focus on the wrong things. Again, I'm all of us, I'm including all of us in this, because again, we look at the Instagram, we look at the Facebook, we look at the TikTok or whatever social media or the television, the shows, and we look at these elaborate setups of like ceremonies and weddings, and again, this kind of false sense of reality. And then we get upset when the real life doesn't mirror the false sense of reality. And the key word, false. It's not real. It may be real for a very few amount of people, but it's not real. And we fall into the trap of, why isn't it like this fairy tale? Because it's a fairy tale. It ain't real. This is real life, you know? There's no more castles. Well, they're not castles that people actually live in, but there are castles. But I mean, again, we're going off somebody else's narrative, and then we're trying to make it fit our own. And we have to realize that we're different people. We don't live in the old English. We don't live in those times anymore. We just don't. And I think we really need to reassess what we look at as love. Like when we mentioned in the earlier videos, the 5 love languages, Gary Chapman. People should really read that book. If you don't know that book, you need to read that book immediately. The 5 love languages. And I'm sure there's more, but he has recognized 5. And if you haven't read that book, that's something that if I'm dealing with a person, I'm like, yeah, you should read that book. Like if we're gonna talk and things like that, you should read that book, because there's some things in it that make you more aware of yourself and those around you. Because again, even though we feel love for somebody and it serves us because we feel great and we think, you know, this is the one. I'm really starting to get to the conclusion that it's really about the other person. It's really about servicing. It's really about us servicing each other in whatever way that person needs. Again, if it fits, if we feel like that person fits us, I think it's about serving each other. And I think we tend to forget that because we get caught up in ourselves. And the 5 love languages helps you to kind of unpack that a little bit, to say that this is a way that this person accepts being cared for, being loved, being shown attention. You may want to give them gifts and say, like, I'm gonna just load them with gifts, you know, the Gucci bag, the Louis bag, the vacations, the bracelet, all these different things. But they just may want, hey, I care about you, you know, hey, I love you. And they're fine. And they're like, hey, the gifts are cool. But if you gave me the gift and didn't say I love you or I care about you, they feel slighted. And you're like, what's the deal? Like, I'm giving you like these lavish gifts. Like, aren't you happy? Like, yeah, those are great. Those are cool. But I want to hear it from you. That's what the 5 love languages talks about. Like, you got to know your partner. Yeah.
Exactly. And hence.
So yeah, I just want to interject for them.
I appreciate that. And hence you wonder why so many marriages are failing. You wonder why so many relationships are failing. Because we put more emphasis, like you said, on the planning of the wedding than the actual getting to know your partner. You also said we put more emphasis on our job than we do on the partner we spending our lives with. We'll move to another location for a job, but we won't do that for our partner. Remember that? You remember? Did you hear that, or did I lose you on that one? You heard that, Cal?
Okay, I didn't hear that. It was a lapse for like 15, 20 seconds. So,
all right, no problem. Hence, you wonder why so many marriages fail, so many relationships fail, because we put more emphasis. Like you said, we actually put our job ahead of who our mate is going to be. We're quick to relocate to another state for our job, but we don't consider our partner's emotions and investing in our partner because our priorities are all mixed up.
Yeah.
Right?
So, yeah. And the job is important because that will help to maintain the family. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, okay, well, if this person gives you life, if that's your partner, that person gives you life, then why wouldn't you put more? Why wouldn't you put just as much? All I'm saying is, why wouldn't you put if the same, if not more, into that just as much as you put into your job and your profession? That's all I'm saying. And that's a question that I'm not posing to say I've done it. I'm posing that for all of us to think about.
Gotcha.
Like how bad you want it. You know what I'm saying? Like it really gets to, for me, it's like how bad you want it. Mm-hmm. You know, when we talk about people being successful, how bad do you really want it? Okay, you want that job that bad? What are you willing to do for it? You want that marriage to work? You want that partner that you want to feel loved and cherished? How bad you want it?
Mm-hmm. There you go. So,
yeah,
brother, thank you so much. That's the relationship part. We got into it a little too much, but I mean, it's a discussion that it's an ongoing discussion that we need to continue to have, and we're going to bring on this podcast that we have some women give female perspective as well, to make sure it's well balanced. Give us insight because right now you hear two male perspectives on this. I would hope that we're somewhat, liberal in our thinking and not so male chauvinist, but then again. But yeah, those are the four phases that I would like for you to think about. Connecting phase, which is where you have all the hard conversations. Then you have the risk to reward factor. Phase well in that connecting phase because you don't lose as much as opposed to rushing into a relationship, especially if it's a distraction and you just got out of one and you're feeling hurt. Then going into the dating phase and then the courting phase and ultimately marriage. And marriage is what we seem to already have understood. We already know what marriage is about, but we're not prepared for it. That's why marriages fail.
Yeah.
We jumped to step 4 before we even covered step 1. So if y'all want to hear, those of you who joined late, if you want to hear what we were talking about in regards to relationships and stuff like that, just look at the video after we post it and we'll catch on from there. Sorry about that, brother. But relationships is a serious topic, man. It's something we're all is not something that we have not experienced and it's not a part of our lives.
It's the basis of society, relationships, whether it be with another like opposite sex, like love, or some people same sex, but it's the foundation of our society. Society comes from the root word social. Like people forget that.
So this is a valid conversation. So Kyle, please introduce the next topic: COVID and it's education during COVID. What is that about?
Right. So education during COVID is becoming very cumbersome, very challenging because of the dynamic of how the virus is spreading or not spreading in certain areas now. So I'm down south right now and down in Tennessee, and it has spread a little more down here than it did in New York. And a lot of parents are trying to figure out how to educate their children, get their children educated without contracting the virus and spreading it amongst the family. So I want to bring up this topic because we do have some listeners who do have children, or they may be educators like ourselves and are on the other side of things and wondering what's going to happen, what's going on. And so it is a huge.
Oh, man. All right. So, we've been having technical. All right, here we go. Kyle.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, brother. Continue, brother.
Yeah, it's a huge topic right now for all of us. For those who have children, even don't have children, you may have children, and this is going to affect them in the near future. So I want to definitely bring it up because it is a hot topic and it's a much needed discussion, especially us as educators, both of us, myself and Kayode. So yeah, I definitely want to bring it up. Some places are doing hybrid, where they can go to the school site for a few days out of the week and pick up lessons and get instruction. And then some are doing fully online, and they're giving parents the option to do that. Recently in New York, I heard. Whereas down south, they've already started school. They've already started mostly online down here for the year. I think they start last week and then this week too, but they've already started, and it's online. So.
Okay, so they started school already down south, but online. So they're not they're not physically in the classroom, correct?
Right, they're not in the classroom, especially after here in Tennessee, some teachers had a meeting, like a pre-school opening meeting, and I think it was like 18 of them, and like 3 of them or something like that got COVID, the virus. Now again, I don't know if they were asymptomatic or what, but apparently they had gotten it, and they're like, oh well, guess that's not gonna work. Bringing the children in for this. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. I'm not a parent yet, but it's tough because when you talk, especially those grades of K through 5, K through 4, K through 5, it's tough because those if you know that type of age of children, that's from like what age? 4 or 5 to 10, 9, 10. So they're constantly touching and pushing and all these different things. They haven't developed that space. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me my space. And that's how kids do. They play with each other. They rough and tumble. They all this other stuff. They push and hold hands and all this merry-go-round, ring around the rosy type stuff. So that's tough. That's tough. I was a middle school teacher, elementary/middle school. So that's a tough environment for those children to be able to put them possibly in harm's way to get the virus and bring it back to their homes.
Right. I don't even want to talk about. I'm not even going to bring in politics. These idiots. Anyway, but yeah, I agree with everything you're saying in regards to education and COVID and the whole environment and the schools opening back up. Let me pose this question to you. What do you think before we move on to the next in regards to health? Next topic, healthcare. What have you been exposed to? What have you learned? What have you seen in terms of parents teaching their children at home? For those schools that will not be opening, for those schools who haven't made the formal decision of providing their child household with the technology needed, whereas their child can be very effective with their schoolwork, having not be physically in the school. And in conjunction with that, the parent themselves, if they have to report to work, who's going to teach their child? Because now the school element is not there. Who knows if the child is going to have a babysitter? And if it's a babysitter, would the babysitter be equipped to teach their child? What have you been exposed to? What do you know about in regards to in-home teaching of parents to their child? What does that look like, or what have you heard?
Well, while you were talking, I was thinking that, and I don't know if this is a quote from somebody, but I'm thinking like, for me, education is everywhere, but schools are not. And that could be a post I do, but education is everywhere, but schools are not. So when we think about restructuring or reimagining schools, school is when and wherever you choose to craft a lesson or a system of learning. And with homeschooling, again, if the parents that are doing the homeschooling have the necessary resources at hand to be able to educate their child properly, and what I mean by properly, meaning giving them tools of skills that they can use in order to enhance their abilities. Because people forget, like, okay, the term education, right? It comes from the Latin word educere, right? That means to bring out. So education is sole purpose is to bring out the talents and skills and abilities of the student in order to enhance their lives, and of course, as a whole, the community and society. So a lot of times these schools that our children were going to pre-COVID were not educating our children. They were failing our children. Let's be honest here. Let's be straight up straight no chaser. They were failing our children. I'm talking about black and brown children. That's what I'm talking about. So this actually is an opportunity to not only reimagine the curriculum of these schools to better adhere to the skills that will benefit our students by empowering them and going back to the communities and empowering their communities to make sure that they can live a decent lifestyle. But this is also an opportunity for parents to interject certain things that they felt the schools weren't doing. We'll be talking about African American history, Latino history, Asian history, right? These points of reference that will empower and engage our particular demographic of children. This is what we were missing. But my argument is that
Okay. Technical difficulties again, y'all. Thank y'all for being patient as we figure out what's going on. Here come Kyle again.
they're trying to cut me out. Kayode, they're trying to cut me out. I was about to drop the sign. They're trying to cut me out. All right, so drop the reel. I'm gonna keep going. So what I was gonna say is the key question is, if the curriculum is gonna be the exact same disservice, again, for the schools that weren't working, if it's gonna be the exact same disservice, but it's just gonna be in digital format, then what's the point? If the same curriculum that was failing our children is just gonna be crafted or recrafted in a digital format, it's still not gonna do any service to the children. It's still gonna be disengaged. So again, this gives us the opportunity to alter the curriculum that wasn't working and enhance the stuff that was working, but also in a digital platform. Now, let me give you some facts, family. Like, again, in Harlem, my community where I stay, 40% of the families in Harlem did not have internet service. This is pre-COVID. 40% of the families in Harlem did not have internet service. That's how bad it is.
Harlem,
40%. So 40%. So right in Harlem. So we talk about the digital divide. When we talk about the digital divide, it's real. My colleague, Reverend Ballard, Daryl Ballard, he said that natural disasters don't create gaps; they expose gaps. You know, they expose them. So now America is being exposed. It's being exposed for the lack of care and concern and resources in our public educational system and our communities as well. So when we talk about education,
oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Yeah,
they're trying to shut my mic off, man. All right, I see. I'm still coming at them. So
let's go. I'm right with you.
Huh?
I said I'm right with you.
Yeah. So in reference to COVID, this is just a prime opportunity for us to really reimagine, reevaluate, restructure how education serves us, how education serves Black and brown children all across America, especially in our major cities. And that's, I don't want to go too far into that, but yeah, but it's a lack of a lot of different things. Some kids, some children, some students don't have internet laptops. They don't have iPads. They have maybe a gaming system that maybe they can use, or maybe their phones, but that only goes so far. So we have to start to think about ways in which to engage our students more through this technology. Now I'm gonna be real with you. I had this talk with my brother. We talked about why don't certain schools do certain things and this and that. It comes down to fundamental science, family. Some of these schools and some of these administrators don't care. They could give a damn about your child. Let's be real. Let's just cut to the chase. A lot of these schools that don't work, they don't care about your child. They care about that check. Let me say this one more time. They don't care about your child. They care about that check more than servicing your child. And how do I know this? Because I've been an educator for 20 plus years, and I've worked with and studied under some pre-med educators throughout the United States. And I have educators in my family. That's another thing. And again, when you see an educator, when you see a teacher in a classroom and the students aren't engaged, that could be a number of things, right? So I'm not here to judge. That could be a number of things. That could be the teacher's just not knowing how to connect, or it's a lesson that day that the students aren't really into. There's a lot of different things. But if you ask the students, Do you feel like this teacher really tries and really cares about you? They would tell you straight out, yes or no. Even if they think the teacher is boring, they're like, well, they all right. They just boring. They'll tell you if you ask them. Now, again, the ones that don't care at all, they call our children little bastards, little heathens, monsters. What are we going to do about them? How are they raising your children? Is that your class? Is that your children's classroom teacher? If so, I think a PTA needs to be in order. I think you need to call them out on it. I think you need to have a talk with them, or talks with the principal, with the superintendent, and see about them getting either reassigned, re-educated, or removed.
In that order.
In that order.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to get too political about this either. I think you covered it enough.
Yeah. This is real. This is the fight for our children's minds. Right. Yeah. Right now, here, this is where the real soldiers come out. This is where the real people who really care come out. Mm-hmm. Because again, when we talk about our children, people are, because see, here's the thing. I'm a youth advocate. I advocate for the youth. There's some things I definitely disagree with, but that they do. But again, youth don't raise themselves. Right. Adults raise youth. Yes. So if the youth are out of whack, the adults out of whack. Yes. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes. Because people want to put the blame on the kids. These kids are bad and they don't know what they're doing. And what's wrong with these children? What's wrong with these children is you're not stepping up to the plate. You need to step up or step out. You need to get up out. You step in and help, or you get out of the way. Pick one. Pick one. Because our children's lives and our society is at stake. Right? If you feel like you don't want to step into the classroom, I totally understand. What else can you do to support those who are in the classroom and or the children that are receiving the lesson in the classroom? What part do you play in the solution or the problem? As we talked about before, Kayode, what role do you play? Because you can't talk noise on the sideline and then not do anything. That's not going to fly. Not in my circle, not in my presence. Not in our presence here at Grand Rise Collective. That's not going to fly. And for most people who have a purpose and a mission, John Lewis and C.T. Vivian just transitioned. So you mean to tell me these men put their lives on the line for you to sit on your ass and talk noise? I don't think so. And this is not Kayode. I mean, this is Kyle Dixon talking to you with Grand Rise Collective. But as educators, Kayode and I follow these principles and rules because we really care about the community. We really care about seeing you succeed. We really care about putting out excellence and things that will help benefit people. That's what we care about. And when we hear people talk and criticize without having done any real work in the community, I don't take that seriously. Matter of fact, I don't even acknowledge you. I don't even acknowledge that type of talk and behavior, especially when you haven't done anything. What have you done? What have you done? What are you doing? One thing Erykah Badu said to me in undergrad at Fisk University for I think it was the hip hop conference in 2000. That's how long ago it was. She said, people are looking to us as artists, or what are we doing for the community? What are you?
We will improve this, man. I promise. We will improve this. You've heard what Cal said. He's right back. We at this. Hold on. Okay. We at this.
I'm just heating up. I'm just heating up.
I know you are. Continue. We're serious about it.
Yeah, man. No, but what are you doing? What are you doing to the community? What are we doing for the community? What are we doing for us? Is what I'm saying. What are we doing for us? And talking all day is not going to do it. It's just part of it, And yeah. So I want to bring that up, family, because a lot of families are going through these issues, and they're legit issues. They're not using these as scapegoats. They're really going through it, and they're having to deal with deaths in their family, and they're having to deal with a job situation, economic status being in jeopardy. So there's a lot of things people are dealing with. They're going through, and this is one more thing, And this child could help to bring the family out of poverty. This child could help to give the family more purpose in order to live. I mean, it's just so many things. It's just so many things at play. And it seems like when these things happen, our community suffers the most, meaning Black and brown community suffer the most. African, Latino communities suffer the most. And there's a reason for that, right? There's a reason for that. So there are certain websites that you can go to if you have access to the internet, whether on your phone or with a computer, and we'll probably post them. But there's like, Khan Academy, what else? Khan Academy, Quizlet.org, freerice.com, chompchomp.com. I know that's kind of sound crazy, but chompchomp.com. There's a number of websites free that you can go to. PBS Learning Media Center. PBS has a great website. PBS Learning Media has all the grade levels and all the subject matters from each grade level, videos, interactive, fill in the blank, practice tests, etc., that you can go to for your child. So these are just resources outside of a book, of the literal book that you can go to help educate your child. Start to use your phone as not just an entertainment device, but an education device. You have access to the world in the palm of your hand, literally. Use it. Rethink it. Use it. It's there for you 24/7, 365. Unless you don't have a phone charger or a service, which can happen, you have access to it all day, every day. So what's the Chop Quay? So what's the scenario? Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's like, come on, y'all.
Kyle is on fire, yo. And I don't have too much to add to that. Definitely we have to continue that conversation going. But at the same time, if I do interject, you know how I interject anyway. I think as parents, adults, whether you're a parent or not, and I got to be real careful. I got to be real brief with this. And forgive me, family. I'm not going to curse. I'm not going to curse with that. But me just saying that should give some indication of how frustrated I am with where we're at this stage. Anyway, development. Yeah. And like Kyle said, here we have technology. We have access to information that we didn't have before. And it seems like we're more dumber as a whole than we were when we didn't have it. We are allowing ourselves to be more easily distracted now when we didn't have these distractions before. And yet we want to sit here and we want to complain. And this is what frustrates me as well. And this is going to sound like I'm being biased and stuff like that. But I implore family, those of you who are watching and those who share this, content like what we're sharing and other content that you see on YouTube that's trying to inform the community, I would suggest you take a vested interest and block out time to listen to what's being shared from people who have a passion about what they're doing, who's trying to inform the community, as opposed to dominating your time with Netflix and all these damn cartoons and freaking sports and, partying all the time. I'm not saying that there's not a place for that, but I think we should prioritize what our obligations are if we want to see a change in this world, especially if the negative effects of this world directly affects us. So I get frustrated when we watch these, videos, comedy videos and stuff like that, but I get the element of entertainment, but I think we should focus some energy on education as well and taking advantage of the resources of information that we have instead of just dumbing ourselves down watching a boob tube or TV and all this other. Forgive me, family, for those who are listening. I'm about to curse. But instead of entertaining ourselves with all this bullshit out here, we should really be coming together and educating ourselves so we can make a better life for ourselves, for our families, for our children and our children's children. Yeah, you might not be a politician. You might not be an entertainer. You might not be a sports athlete. But if you think about it, there's something you can do within your realm of expertise that can contribute to the conversation and contribute to the change. So stop playing games and just get to it. Cut it out. That's all I'm saying on that.
You're playing games with yourself. You're only playing games with your own livelihood and accomplishments. I mean, that's just real. Like the person who's going to suffer in the end is going to be you. Like, and unless you pull people down with you, which could possibly happen as well. But for those who are aware of the situation and really know what time it is, they're not going to allow themselves to be influenced nor basically in harm's way because of your actions or because of your habits, bad habits that you have. So yeah, but yeah, we seem to be regressing instead of progressing, and we have more technology than we've had in the last 30 years, and it's moving fast. It's moving very fast, and if you're not up on it, if you're just consuming and not producing, then you're way behind, and it's not all your fault, and again, it's not blame game. It's not all your fault either. I'm not saying that. I'm not even insinuating that. What I'm saying is, once you're aware of what is going on around you, then it's your job to try to do something about it. There's no shame in trying and then not getting what you want. That's no shame in that. The shame is not only that you're not aware that it's there, but then once you find out it's there, you still do nothing.
Well said, Kyle. Well said. All right, so now just move on as we close out. COVID, healthcare during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that, Kyle? I tried, brother. I tried earlier today when I did the updates, the GRC updates and stuff. I tried to let you know about how important it is to take care of their health. We're in the pandemic right now, although in some cases it don't seem like it. But if you're astute and you know what's going on around you, you can see a lot of people wearing masks. So that's a reminder of what we're still dealing with now. You're seeing the death tolls in Florida, Texas, and other states continue to rise. You see all this stuff going on. So what I tried to do, Kyle, is inform our listeners and subscribers how it's important to watch your diet, to eat foods high in vitamins and minerals, to include in your diet fruits and vegetables, including the seeds, stay hydrated, drink water. You know what I mean? So, I tried, brother, but you definitely the guru on this joint. So
I guess
healthcare during COVID, man. What would you like to share about that on that topic?
Yeah, I just wanted to share, again, with education. Also, we talk about health right now with COVID-19 spreading in different parts of the states and other countries. It's some countries have been able to keep it at bay and minimize it, and some states here in America, some cities here in America, have seen it grow actually, become more prevalent and spread. And when we talk about bills and finances, healthcare is one of those bills that people go into debt over. Hospital bills, car, house, medical, school loans. Those are like the top four. Yeah, top four, like things go into debt over. So when we talk about our health and healthcare during COVID, it's important that people really take things seriously. I see a number of people taking it very cavalier, very just kind of lackadaisical. And whether you believe it or not, it's still happening. Some people are asymptomatic, which is the best scenario outside of not getting it at all. But then there's some people who are suffering a lot.
With regards to we here, we're fighting, we're here. Let's go.
Okay. All right, cool. So yeah, with certain people contracting the virus, I went to go get tested, came out negative, thank goodness, but I attribute that to, again, sticking to the rules. Like, I'm not hanging around people, I'm not going out partying. I got my mask on when I go outside. Now, do I have it up all the time? If I'm not around people, I pull it down because I just need to breathe. You know what I'm saying? But definitely when I go in stores or go in places, I got my mask on, and it's protect myself against other people and people against me, etc. But what I'm saying is that, again, healthcare, like the United States spends 2 times as much on healthcare as any other country in the world. I looked up the numbers, 2 times as much. And I think the number is like 7. I wrote it down. Yeah, 7 $714.5 billion is spent on healthcare in America. That's 2 times as much as in any other country in the world. And most of that comes from medical facilities and the doctors, the expensive medical facilities and the doctors, physicians. Maybe I'm guessing their salaries. But there's certain things that people can do in certain scenarios to stay out of the hospital. Like we talked about, just, staying hydrated, drinking more water, getting some sunlight, staying off the fast foods. Like you can't eat fast foods every day. I mean, you can eat fast foods every day, but expect to be sick most of the time out the year, or if you're not sick, some type of disease. Oh, my back hurt, or my shoulder hurt, my knees hurt. Yeah, because you eating fried chicken or you're eating greasy hamburgers 5 to 6 times out of the week.
What for those who, first of all, to buy good food is expensive, right? As it's perceived to be. It's expensive to go to Whole Foods and buy, stuff at Whole Foods and those healthcare stores. Kyle, please enlighten us on, instead of eating the burgers, the fried food all the time, the fast food, that's obviously not healthy. What suggestions can you give to those who may be on a fixed budget, fixed income, how they should eat, what they should eat regarding their diet and stuff like that? What suggestion can you give them?
Yeah, well, the suggestion I can give is drink more water. If you do that, if you just start with that, like replace the soda or the pop, for my folks in the Midwest, a cold drink for my folks down in the South. Drink more water. That's simple. Drink more water. If you feel like you got a taste for Coke or Pepsi or whatever, drink water. And if you feel like, well, water's too bland, put something in it. Put some fruit in it. Put a little bit of juice in it. Whatever it takes for you to drink more water, drink more water. Like seriously, like we just don't drink enough water. We're dehydrated.
So
right?
when you say drink more water, you saying that in conjunction with the burgers, the greasy foods, the fast food, that if that's all they can afford and that's within their budget, so they can do that, but they should drink water with that. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. Right. I'm saying if you have a food addiction, because typically that's a food addiction, you don't have to have the burger, but you have a taste for it and you feel like you need to have it. Then, I mean, the healthy alternative is the more fruits and vegetables. But some people feel like, oh, that's too expensive, or I don't have a taste for that. Okay, then fine. If you don't want to do that, then drink more water. Like replace your soda and pop, and even some of your juice, because some of your juice is not even juice; it's just syrup and water. Replace it with actual water. Like put some ginger in it. Put some strawberries or some fruit in it to flavor it up. Like whatever it takes to get more water in your body. Now, are you going to be going to the bathroom more? Yes, you are. But are you going to cleanse out your body at the same time? Yes, you are. Are you going to help your heart to pump more blood around your body? Yes, you are. Simple stuff. It's not complex as people think, but we make it complex because we get addicted to these processed foods and we think, oh, because it tastes good, it is good. And it's like, well, there are people that work in labs that make food that is addictive because they figured out what people like, and they've manufactured the taste, the flavonoids, the tasting seasonings or chemicals to make that food taste so good that it is addictive.
All right, so that's fantastic information. Like I said, are there any other practices that people can do with regards to healthcare during this pandemic? So we already know, drink more water. So if you like the fast food and you're addicted to it, which Kyle already explained it, they put a chemical in there to make you addicted to it. At the very least, drink more water to it. Technical difficulties again, y'all. We're sorry. We're closing it up anyway. We're wrapping this up. But like Kyle said, if you need to drink, if you need to eat the fast food, then drink water with it. At the very least, drink more water to it. Are there any other things that, in terms of healthcare during this pandemic, that you can suggest, Kyle, as we close this out, that we should be aware of and partake of and take an active partake in it? We already know the water. You mentioned fruits and vegetables.
Right.
Is there anything else?
Well, let me add on to the water thing before I go into the fruits and vegetables and whatnot. Whatever water you're drinking, like say if you don't feel like you're drinking enough, whatever water you're drinking, double it. That's all I'm saying. So like say if you drink 4 glasses of water a day, double that and make it 8. If you drink 2 glasses of water, go to 4. Double it. Whatever you're drinking, double it. Because I'm sure you're not drinking enough. Typically when you're hungry, you're actually thirsty. You're actually dehydrated. So that's one thing.
So wait, you mean to tell me when I'm hungry, I'm actually really thirsty? I'm not really hungry?
Typically, you're dehydrated. Typically, when people are I'm hungry, you're actually probably more thirsty than you are hungry.
You heard it here.
All right.
All right.
So going into, I think that healthcare also in reference of I see people down here doing gardening, doing a lot of gardening, personal gardening, getting back to nature because it's the South, so it's closer to nature than being in a major city. As far as it's more plentiful and easier access. But simple things like going for a walk, going for a nice stroll, going for a light jog, doing some push-ups, some calisthenics, prayer, meditation, these simple things that get your mind in order. Because a lot of people are suffering mentally and emotionally during this time. That's also healthcare. So making sure that you take time for self, to reflect, to understand what you're feeling, to acknowledge those feelings, and to find some type of solace and peace. It could be going for a walk. It could be going for a jog. It could be going to the gym to get out that anxiety, that energy, that pent-up energy. It could be getting up early in the morning and working on building a personal garden. You know, gardening has stress relieving qualities when you're starting and working a garden because you're connecting to nature. You're creating something or helping to create something, and it's a piece of serenity involved. It also allows you when you do exercise, it lowers your cortisol levels. Cortisol is a stress hormone. Some of you have heard of it, cortisol. And cortisol, if cortisol keeps being pumped in your body, which some people are experiencing that through this COVID-19, that's why they're having anxiety attacks. It raises your blood pressure. Cortisol, like a heavy flood. Cortisol is needed in the body to a certain degree, but people are getting excess cortisol because they're nervous and anxious and scared. So it raises blood pressure. It reduces bone density and reduces muscle density as well. So the more you're able to do things that help you relax, they help you to have some type of peace of mind and of environment and security, it lowers the cortisol, which allows you to reduce stress, which allows your body to circulate more oxygen in blood, and also your salt and water intake. Because cortisol regulates your salt water intake, so it helps release some of that salt and water, so you don't retain that in your body.
Wow, brother, thank you so much. As a matter of fact, I attest to what Kyle is saying. I found myself jogging now. Some of y'all have been on my Instagram making fun of me. Kyle, a part of them, but definitely important to, as Kyle is saying, to get out in nature. Kyle, one of the things that I don't think people realize that I would like for you to stress is the importance of the sun. Vitamin D, how effective is that against COVID? Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, I know you and I have talked about it, and I've read up on it. And in reference to vitamin D is not a vitamin; it's a hormone that the body helps to produce through the sunlight. Actually, the UV rays of the sunlight. So there are certain times of the day where the UV lighting is at its highest or lowest. Typically, it's at its lowest during sunrise, and it's at its lowest at sunset. But in between the day, it can get at its highest. Excuse me, family. So it's important not just get sunlight, but get some of that UV lighting. And if you're of darker skin, if you're darker hue, you're a person of color, black and brown folks, then you can stay out in the sun a little longer with the UV lighting and not get skin damage. But if you're a European descent, lighter skin, then you don't need to stay out in the sun as long because it can start to cause skin cancer and things like that. But definitely look it up. Look up UV lighting as far as COVID. research and how UV lighting helps to eradicate viruses in general. And again, do your research, family. I'm doing my research right now, but sunlight is important because sunlight is a de-stressor. It helps to create positive chemicals in the body. And for those people who get depressed, people who get depressed, what do? They go off in a corner, and what is dark. Wherever that is just dark, right? They want to be in dark places. So that sunlight helps bring that energy, because sunlight is energy, by the way. It helps bring positive energy to the body. It helps the body to kind of break out of whatever abnormal processes that it may be going through. But it also helps to kickstart some of the vitamins and the minerals that you're eating during the day to help your body to access it and maximize it. So look it up, but look up UV lighting as far as COVID virus is concerned and how the sunlight plays a part in that.
Thank you, sir. Because I was about to ask you, what's the difference between UV light and sunlight? For me, I thought it was the same. I thought the sunlight was the same as UV lighting. And so you're telling me that's not the same?
Right. It's part of it. It's it's ultraviolet. So the ultraviolet lighting has certain not levels, but certain phases where it some of the UV lighting helps things to like grow into and also kills off certain bacteria. So you want that UV lighting because in reference of corona, if the research is correct, it kills off potential viruses within the body, because a lot of viruses start within the body. I think that's what like Dr. Fauci and them, I don't know if they've mentioned this, but a lot of the viruses start within the body, not outside the body. Now, can viruses get in through the body from outside? Possibly. I'm not a scientist, so I'm just going off the research that I've seen up to this point. But a lot of viruses begin in the body because your body has to be in a certain stage in order for it to take hold. You know what I'm saying? It's like if everybody's around you sneezing, but you've been, let's say you're a person who's been eating like natural foods and natural herbs, medicinal herbs, and you're exercising, you're like in tip-top shape, then you're less likely to get the cold if people sneezing around you, unless they sneeze directly on you, and then like, okay, the body's like, okay, they sneeze directly on us, so it's like we got to do something immediately to help to minimize getting the virus. But if you're around people who have colds and your body's in tip-top shape, your internal body's in tip-top shape, you're not saying you're not going to get it, but you're very less likely to contract it.
Awesome. One final note before we conclude. Great discussion. I hope you all who are listening from the start to the end, you got some valuable information when we touch on relationships. But Kyle, let me ask a question in regard to for those who may not have a track and field in the area, because along with eating right, the dietary plan, fruits and vegetables, staying hydrated, along with getting the sun and the UV rays, which is beneficial to our immune system. The other component to that is physical fitness. So yes. It's a combination of all three of these things, pretty much. So for those who don't have a track and field where they can go to and do a nice little walk or what have you, a little jog, can you share with us what alternative methods they can use physically where they can get that exercise in, and whether wearing a mask is detrimental to that? Like, is it okay for them to go out? Because we kind of know this already, but I think it's good to reemphasize. Will they do more harm to themselves if they wear masks and go to the track or do a jog or something like that, or have it down with their health be in danger if they don't wear the mask? What are your thoughts on those two things in particular? A local area where they can get that exercise in, and how it relates to wearing protective masks on their face.
Yeah. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I can't say. If you feel comfortable wearing a mask, bike riding, or jogging, if that makes you comfortable, then by all means go for it. I just think it's weird from my perspective that because you're breathing in and out at a voracious rate, and you're breathing in your own carbon dioxide. So I don't know how that's going to work on the bike. I just don't know how that works. But again, to each his own. If that's what makes you feel comfortable, then by all means go for it. If you're biking or riding some type of vehicle, outdoor vehicle, or you're running, jogging, then if that works for you, go. Hey, who am I to tell you no? If you feel like you're more susceptible to the virus or bringing the virus back to your loved ones. But yeah, if you don't have a track or if you don't have a field to go to, you can work in your home. You can do calisthenics, push-ups, sit-ups, dips, shoulder dips. If you have weights in your home, or you can make weights in your home. You have a chin-up bar, you can order a chin-up bar, or you can order the resistance bands. You can go outside if you have a yard. You can go outside in your yard and do like short wind sprints, or again, calisthenics, yoga. Some people like to play the drums or play instruments. That could be a form of exercise as far as breathing is concerned, or playing the drums. That's still some form of movement. If you have a stationary bike, people are getting like the Peloton, whatever bike. Some people order that if they have the money for that. You get a stationary bike. You can do jumping jacks. You can run in place. I mean, there's a whole bunch of, if you get creative, there's a whole bunch of things you can do if you don't have a track to go to. I mean, that is the ideal. But I mean, like what do we have before we have resistance bands and pull-up bars and chin-up bars and all these different things. So get creative. Get creative with it.
Thank you so much. That concludes our Grand Rising Collective discussion between the hosts. Now we get to know, again, if you have just joined us, who we are, how we think on certain things, our perspectives on certain things. Again, we talked about relationships. We talked about education during COVID. We talked about healthcare during COVID. This is just a taste of the conversations that we have with the guests who join us. So I hope you learned a lot. I hope you got a lot. Again, we're dealing with technical difficulties again, but I'm going to try and hold off until Kyle comes back on and we'll do our sign-offs. But the other thing I want to emphasize and stress is don't hesitate to put a comment in the field. Let us know, how you feel about certain things. Let us know what you're thinking about, and then we can share with you our perspectives on those certain topics. So, Kyle, what I would like for us to do is sign off. We're going to do a sign off. I'm going to start off, and I'm going to lead it off with you. That'll conclude our GRC discussion that we had among the hosts. I give this the title. But just so you know, my name is Kayode Bentley. I'm the co-host with Kyle Dixon. And my my titles, or whatever you want to call it, on social media is Balagoon Logic at Instagram, Balagoon Logic on Twitter. I have 3 channels, Perspective TV. How you doing, Wisdom? Nice to see you. We're finishing up. Sorry, but I have 3 channels, Perspective TV on YouTube, Candid Advisor on YouTube. I got some new videos I'm gonna post up in terms of more in-depth conversation on relationships. And I also have another one called Kayode, which talks about Christianity and things of that nature. So you can stay in touch with me that way. And then 4Ts.org is my organization if you want more information there. Facebook is Kayode Bentley. So with that said, Kyle, please share with those your handles. So if anyone wants to reach out to you and contact you, do that, and then we'll close it out after that. All yours.
All right. So yeah, family. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you all supporting us. We appreciate your commitment to seeing Grand Rising Collective podcast show grow much more every single week, every single month, and we really just appreciate the love and the questions and and sometimes the sidebar comments. Like we appreciate all that. So please like, share, subscribe to our videos. Please share them around. We have some really notable, essential, just talented and skillful, knowledgeable people that we've interviewed up to this point. And you really need to go back to some of our old episodes and really check some of those out. We had Dr. Lorena Poe that talks about the COVID when it first started. And a lot of her knowledge I'm using here today that I've said, and stuff that I've added on. And I'm sure when we interview her again, she's going to have much more to share. But, we have things about education, about health. We interview therapists. We interview financial consultants. So there's a lot of different things in the old episodes that you all should just go back and review and check out. And you can reach me at KEASY773 on Twitter. That's KEASY 773 on Twitter. You can reach me on YouTube, Mr. Kyle Dixon. And you can also reach me on Instagram at DIX_KYLE.
So with that said, family, thank you for joining us. And we do our typical sign off. Peace. Hold on. All right, there we go.